Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to 2024. It's hard to believe we're starting a new year, and it's an honor to have Data8 be our very first ISV, BizApps ISV, starting and ringing in our new year. And I have Antony and Matt from Data8 to help describe what do they do, all the great details that we normally do on the show. But before we get started, let me do quick introductions and a kind of an orientation of what is this ISV Success Live event that we attempt to do every Monday, 8 o'clock West Coast time. And the intent is really to provide visibility of amazing BizApps ISVs who have published apps in our ecosystem and to showcase their capabilities and talk about what are the business values and use cases and kind of some customer stories that they can articulate. So Antony and Matt will definitely go into a deep conversation about their various data duplication tools that you can imagine. If you utilize Dynamics customer engagement, Dynamics CE, how often do you come across being able to have clean data going into the system and maintaining that data? And that's one of the things that Data8 does that we'll get in much more detail on. So wherever you're watching from, if you're watching from Europe, where Matt and Antony are taking the call, if you're in the United States on the West Coast, where I'm from in Seattle, or anywhere in between, we'd love to hear where you're watching from. So in the LinkedIn comments, just type in, again, shout out to where you're watching from. And during this intro at the very beginning, we can do a quick shout out for you and showcase where you're watching from. The second is, if you have a question during the event, this is a live show. So definitely we do try to allocate some time towards the end to ask a live question. So if there's something that piques your curiosity in my conversation with Antony and Matt, feel free to also put that in the LinkedIn comment window, and we'll be able to spend the time to potentially ask a question. And then finally, if there's something in the dialogue that's really resonating with you, feel free to utilize one of the emoji icons, like, support, etc., because then that will give us some indication that the content is actually resonating. So without further ado, Antony and Matt, thank you for taking the time on a Monday to spend time with me to chit chat. And so the first thing I always start out with, where guests on our show, is what's one thing, what is your role at the organization, what specifically at Data8? And then what is one thing not on your LinkedIn profile for people to get to know you that you'd like to share with an audience? So maybe Antony, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I'm Antony Allen, and I'm the Managing Director across at Data8. And so my responsibility is that all of the things that nobody else does in the company, and all of the nice things. I get to manage all of the people and all of the processes. So it's a super fun job from my point of view. Being involved in Data8 and starting date from sort of 2005, so we're kind of nearly 20 years old next year. In terms of what you won't know from my LinkedIn profile, a couple of things. I started my career in the Royal Navy, doing kind of 8 years as a boy, turning into a man in the Royal Navy. And the second thing is that I got to meet the royal family last year at Buckingham Palace as part of Data8 winning the Queen's Award for innovation and international trade. So I got to meet Prince Charles when he was a prince, and I don't know if it was something I said, but within a year he's become the king. So I like to think I have some down there. So.
Maybe I should call you Sir Antony. I appreciate it. Thank you, Antony, for sharing that. And well, thank you for your service too. I'm always a big believer of the people who make a big sacrifice in their life to serve in our military to protect our freedom and do all those things. So I love it. Hey, you're the first person I've met who's actually met the royal family. So that's fantastic. So Matt. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so Matt, we'll go next to you again. Same question. What's your role at Data8, and what's one thing not in your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing?
Yeah, so thanks for that lead in, Antony, because I'm not sure my non-LinkedIn fact is quite as comparable as yours. So I'm on 10 years at Data8 in my 11th year, leading up the development team with a particular focus around the Microsoft ecosystem and getting all that the systems all together to make things work nice in the platform. And working across pretty much all of our customers' systems in one way or another. Lucky enough to be a 3-time MVP, so I do a lot of community stuff as well outside of Data, which they support, which is very nice. With regards to non-LinkedIn skills, I mean, Anthony's gone Navy, and mine is that I'm a trained professional wrestler. So I'm not sure which one is quite as comparable.
Oh, wow. Well, that's also a new one I haven't heard of. So a wrestler. So you got to describe. So when you say wrestling, Matt, you mean like wrestling, like head to head against someone, or
so like, the WWE, WWF, as it used to be called, all that old stuff like that. So I, in my youth, used to go to the training schools for those sorts of things, and got involved in a few matches in my younger days. Thankfully, none of those videos ever saw the light of day, which is useful.
Well, wow, that's pretty impressive. So what was your like? I grew up watching that. I was very fascinated as a kid, and then I realized, is this real? Is it not real? But I just loved it. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and all that stuff. Did you have a not a surname? Did you have a little call name when you were?
No, I didn't get that far. I was always the person that was around the side of the ring as the sort of person that would protect the people that was inside the rings. So if anyone who jumps out isn't dangerous, the people on the outside the rings are also trained. So that was sort of me. So I never got as far as, my own entrance and winning my own title belt and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I knew all the theories of it and the basics of it and that sort of stuff. So that was quite cool.
Great. Well, I love it. Well, thank you both, Anthony and Matt. I love these types of conversations because I learned something new about people, and those are new things that I don't think anyone on the shows. This is episode, I believe, 88, and I don't think we've ever had those types of comments. So thank you. Let's do a quick shout out to the people watching before we get started with the next question. So Rob, thank you for making the time from San Francisco, just south of the state of Washington in the United States. Steve, who you might know because he's a fellow Microsoft MVP, and I'm sure you're very familiar with Steve. Steve also has been on the show as well. This, for some reason, sometimes we show anonymous people, but Chris, thank you for making the time. Another person from the UK. And then finally, we have John watching from Cincinnati, Ohio. So thank you all for watching the live show. We truly appreciate you guys making the time to listen. So the first question that, of course, I always start out with my guests so that people can get a better familiarity with the ISV is, what does Data8 do? So you can imagine if people have never heard of Data8 before, Antony and Matt, maybe both of you or one of you can start out with, what does Data8 do? What are the business outcomes you help to solve for? Because you think about data duplication, as I mentioned at the beginning, that is one of the many things that you guys do, but maybe you could describe what is the business problem that Data8 helps to solve when it works with Microsoft and the dynamic stack.
Sure. So what Data8 does is, well, we're a data quality company. Data quality is a problem that kind of unites us all in terms of we all have problems with data, whether it be inconsistent, whether it be the capture of data at different touch points in the organization, whether it be the keeping data and keeping it up to date and keeping it accurate, keeping it relevant. So the problem that we kind of solve from that point of view is that we work with companies to keep their database up to date and accurate. And in doing that, whether that be from clients who want to move across from legacy systems to move across to maybe the Microsoft platform, from multiple platforms into a single customer view, so taking all of the legacy data and moving it into a new platform. Obviously, we get occasions where people have brand new Microsoft databases, which make things work, which make things very quick and fast, and they look fantastic, but if it's the same data, then you're going to get the same problems. So our solution to that is really giving you a suite of products and services to help you capture data and keep it up to date from both, as I say, moving from migration through to having the tools to capture correct addresses, correct email addresses, correct telephone numbers, correct cell phone numbers, correct bank details in the UK. And in the UK, we have other things like what 3 words and demographic information, which is done at a sort of a postcode level. Really helping with other things like complex deduplication, where people have multiple, we've experienced clients who've had several instances of the same person with variations of spelling of name, surname, variations of address, And we're looking at sort of 17 records, which in essence is just one. So we build rules and help clients get to the point where they've just got one either golden record or one single record. And Matt,
yeah. So we're lucky. So from a technical perspective, pre-Dynamics days, we build everything we've got. So every API that we own, we have, and people can use. So what that lets us do is build a multitude of different things. So it might be as simple as a connector and Power Automate that just calls our API. Customers might want to build their own integrations using our API with the way that suits their own business needs, or we will pre-build it for them and we'll offer fully integrated solutions that will use our stuff in the way that we think works best, having worked with hundreds of people over the years. So we're quite lucky that the whole full stack we're in control of. So we're not reliant on anybody else. So we really can be as clever as we want and be cutting edge and have complete control over what we do and build, which is why the Power Platform and Dynamics is nice, because we've been a part of that since Dynamics 3, Dynamics 4, so a long time. And we've sort of grown with it through Dynamics, through its platform marketing transition, which has been great.
Yeah, Matt and Anthony, I mean, thank you for sharing the point of view, because you think about it, it's not just the maintaining of it, but I love how you said it too, Anthony, is the migration, because how often someone doesn't always, well, sometimes they do, but we always find that in implementation, someone doesn't always start with Dynamics. They have a legacy solution. They have something that they're storing all this customer data in that, to your point, before it even goes in the system, having the ability to make sure that that cleaning is happening so that the data that actually goes in is coming from a standpoint of users actually ensuring that Antony Allen, there's only one version of you, not 5 different versions of the same person based upon the logic that you end up doing. So maybe you could describe a little bit, when you think about the logic and all that stuff, what are the different mechanisms that people can do that? I think you touched upon a little bit, fuzzy logic and all that stuff. Like, what are some of the high level things that sets Data8 apart? Because there are other solutions out there that also do data cleansing, but what are some of the unique things that Data8 does in the capabilities that actually makes that process very seamless, easy, etc.?
So the team, we've built the Duplicare tool particularly, which is built by a team with about 40 years industry experience in it when we started to build the tool. And Antony is actually one of the best examples that we ever give in these demos, because even on our internal discussions when we were talking about this, he's regularly referred to as Anthony, and then there's all different variations of spelling in his surname. So he's often actually our demo as is anyway. So yeah, all the technologies and the algorithms that are built up over time, and with AI being around with here now, essentially, that's only going to keep going, and we're regularly updating it and keeping on the very cutting edge of where we can be with all these clever things. But what we're really trying to do is enhance the platform that we're on, and not replace it or rebuild it. We will regularly speak to people, and they have moved to a job and they've gone, oh, I don't have that feature anymore. And the truth is, it's because they were using our plugin within the platform and not the platform itself. And that's the thing that we try and go to, is that because the platform does such a good job, let's piggyback off the back of that and make it even better with our specific knowledge in that area. And that's worked and gets positive feedback time and time again, that it feels like a natural process.
Yeah, we're trying to work with Microsoft if you have a deployment, we want to work with you to get as much as you possibly can natively from the application. And what we're looking at doing is augmenting different parts of it, whether it be the capture, whether it be the data deduplication, which is a very, very complex procedures that we've helped to simplify. And partly, what are the differences that Data8 have? In the Duplicare end, we have AI built in, and that can be matched to natural language processing if you want to, of saying what you want to achieve, and obviously it will code it away. You can have a look at the code and then deploy that within Duplicare. So what we're really about from a data quality point of view is building in our processes into your business processes. So you don't have to think, well, let me go away and cleanse my data. Let me go away and deduplicate my data. Let me go away and check the validation of an email address or a telephone number. Then we want that to be integrated into your business processes. So we provide tools and systems and services that integrate for you. So if you're going to send, if you're going to call somebody for on the telephone to try them sell them something, then you want to know the fact that they're not on the telephone preference service in the UK, and that you are allowed to call them, legally allowed. So that will check with Data8, check if it's on the telephone preference service, immediately give you an answer, and obviously you're free to call them or not call them. And so from a preference service point of view, it will validate an email address to say, is that good to send or not good? Is the telephone number good to send? But you don't have to think about it. So we want to be integrated into your business processes. And another fact around there is that when we talk to people about moving databases to a newer database, you might find after a number of months that not everybody is using the database, not everybody is comfortable. A lot of the work that we've done is we find that they're not comfortable due to they're not particularly happy with the quality of the data that they have. They don't trust the data. So our job is to make sure that they can trust the data. So in doing all of the work that we do, we're actually getting more and more usage and more uptake from the licensees of Dynamics 365, where the company has 100 users, but over a period of time it goes down to sort of 80 and 70 and 60 because they don't trust the data. But we build in the trust back to the data, and we can see the engagement goes up from a Microsoft point of view, which is exactly what you want from a client point of view, a company point of view. You want more of your users engaged with your CRM database, adding more and more value in each interaction that they do. So.
Yeah, I love it, Anthony, Matt. I love how you touch upon a few additional things. One is the privacy of it, because that's a huge starting point for any type of business application, which is if I'm going to reach out to Anthony or Matt, do I have permission to do so? Are they on any type of list, or is there, if they opt out, that information is getting consolidated so that all their specific names they might have in our database gets caught, so that that single privacy is set up. And then to what you and Matt said too about the adoption, I love it too, because if people are finding that the data itself is accurate, then they're more apt to continue to use it and to have the information. I love how that provides an ability for any type of deployment, because that's another struggle that a lot of people who deploy CRM tools run into, is they have this amazing investment and then no one uses it. And so that's a great value proposition of business outcome you drive as well. So before we get to the next question, let me do a quick shout out to a few other people I didn't get a chance to say. So Luz, thank you so much for watching from my neck of the woods, Seattle. And then for some reason, there was one other person that's not showing up on the feed, but Trent from Switzerland, thank you so much for making the time to invest in watching the show as well. So the next question that I ask is, what's the experience been like? I know, well, particularly you, Matt, like because you're an MVP within the Microsoft Biz App space. That's amazing, because that means that you've made a big investment and you're being recognized, being part of the community. But because both of you have mentioned that Data8 has been part of Microsoft and the Dynamics journey since dating myself, because I started my journey at Microsoft 17 years ago, just on the tail end of 3.0, before it became 4.0. And then, of course, before 4.0 became CRM Online, when we actually put Dynamics into the cloud. And then, of course, the ERP or our F&O offering then followed suit shortly thereafter. But maybe either of you can start with what's been being a Microsoft partner. What does it mean? Because of course we have a lot of Microsoft potential partners looking and investing in, do I want to become part of the ecosystem? So maybe you can talk about just what does it mean to be part of the ISV Success program and be part of be a Dynamics ISV.
Matt, do you want to go?
So having somebody there has always been useful. Contacts within Microsoft, as well as community contacts and the whole community that sort of anything to do with ISV builds. We've been lucky that we've met all sorts of people over the years. We were in, I believe it was Tampa, when they first announced that Canvas apps were going to become a thing, and this was early days of whatever they were going to be called then. So we've been around since then and been sort of at the cutting edge of what the platform does, and being part of the ISV Success has helped us do that. And don't let the technology get ahead of us. Keep on top of it. Have the right contacts. Learn from the experience. And having access to things like AppSource behind the scenes. AppSource is an amazing thing to have access to, because to have things like the AppSource certification, so we can give any potential installers confidence that this isn't just code we've put on the internet that people can just download and install. Like, it's been through its tests, it's been certified, it's been recertified on every time we do an update and on certain schedules, as well as having a single point of distribution. So I don't have to send out zip files of updates or whatever. And the whole update process is handled by the platform, so it's relatively easy for me to ship new versions of our products and software and send people to a central place. So from that perspective, that is really helpful for us, and it's been the biggest gain for us to promote the visibility of everything that we do.
That's great. Anything else to add, Anthony?
No, I'd echo what Matt has said there. The idea of having to pass an accreditation is a very good thing. It means that obviously from a commercial point of view and a technical point of view, we've passed the standards that are set by the provider from Microsoft. So it immediately means that the customers or the prospects that are looking to do anything know that they can trust us. We've already passed that. And we've gone through various iterations of ISV and partners, gold partners, and all of them. I would say that you have to work with Microsoft to get where you would like to go. It isn't a platform that you can lodge your applications and wait for the tsunami of new orders to arrive. It's much more about working with Microsoft, both at a level with ISVs and ISV partners, but also at account manager level. So picking out account managers in particular accounts that either we might want to work with, or we've been identified by Microsoft to work with some of their clients. So you kind of, it's an old adage of you're going to get what you deserve, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. So from ours, we do work with Microsoft. We do follow the latest of the procedures. We do follow the guidelines, and we would hope to always be at that point. And we know from history many years ago that when we didn't, we were kind of kicking ourselves for not really being up to date. So follow. Don't expect everything to happen just because you've gone onto the marketplace, because it won't.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that transparency, because it is what you put in, and I love both of your comments, because AppSource is that starting point for ISVs, because one, it's visibility. You're leveraging the multi-millions of people going there looking for a solution, and if someone types in duplication or data, that Data8 is most likely going to show up. And also appreciate the fact that again, the rigors that we put our ISVs through to ensure that customers know that this solution is purposely meant to be running on Dynamics and the Power Platform. And you have to do it. It's not just set it and forget it. You can't just certify an app and then years later go, oh, I'm using the same thing. You hit it spot on, Matt. Is like that rigor that we have at a minimum twice a year, where we ask our ISVs to actually recertify to ensure that the solution is out there, because we innovate, as both of you know, we innovate more so than the 3.0 days, where twice a year there's a major release that's occurring for providing value. So we have about 6 minutes left, and maybe we can quickly shift to one of my favorite questions that people who listen get a lot of value on, is what's a customer example that either of you have? Because you can imagine when you think about data duplication and what someone was doing beforehand, the amount of transformation and value they can bring. So maybe either of you can quickly touch upon what's your favorite customer story of someone who wasn't using Data8 and all of a sudden they started to use it, and what are some of the things that you witnessed them achieve after the fact, after they started using Data8?
Matt, if I take this first, is we have a Japanese car manufacturer who wasn't using Data8, and during the discussions that we had with them, the questions that they asked are, why have we never heard of you before? If you're able to do all of the things that you claim to do, why have we ever heard of you? Now, in reality, we've now provided them from a legacy system through to migrated to a new system, over to Dynamics 365. We've also deployed a lot of our capture tools to make sure that their database is staying up to date and accurate at various touch points in the organization, whether that's at the dealership, whether that's at the call center, whether that's online, or any of the workshops. We've also deployed the Duplicare package to make sure that the database is being managed from that point of view, and we're currently talking to them about a new release that we're looking at, which is a data quality initiative, which is a new tool to work within D365. So that's a real big story of soup to nuts. You know, there's nothing in place through to everything, and we do everything for those, and they've probably been with us for about 4 years, I'd say. And we have probably half of the business for Duplicare is international. So we're doing things like that. From a technical point of view, I'll throw you over to Matt to some of the problems that we solve and give you a kind of idea of volume as well.
Yeah, we've got some amazing people that we've worked with in the past, household names, global, international companies, one of the largest UK construction companies, a global vehicle manufacturer. We've got all these on the systems, and it's fascinating and we're doing pretty much everything that we do with most of these customers. The snowball that we find happens is that someone goes in and they test the water, they see what we can do, and they go, actually, well, we've got this problem, can you solve that? And then we've got this problem, and can you solve that? And that snowball spirals, and it's very, very rare that we'll say, no, there's a data quality problem that we can't solve. So one of the things that we're lucky with, I think, because we do a good job at what we do, is that people will take more and more things from everything that we do. And one of my favorite stories actually isn't from a huge company, but it's from an international company, at least, which is a company that runs events. And they used us in their Dynamics. And when I went to register for the event and I was checking into the event on the day and they couldn't find my account, they typed me out and they got a duplicate warning on their screen using the tool that my team had built on their screen at the same time we saw it. And they had no idea who we were, what we did, but ultimately they were using our tool without realizing that's what they were doing. And that was just a real moment of seeing it in the real world, in play, and it solved the problem of my own name that's been tested through the duplicate system many, many times, and it found it and worked flawlessly in someone else's system. So to see some of those things is awesome.
And in deduplication as well, we're not restricted to names and addresses, because we have people who have pet names, we have people who have wine. So it's been deployed in lots of different places.
Yeah, we've deduped donkeys, we've deduped wine, we've deduped boats.
Boats,
yes,
I love it.
And the other part of it is a pretty important part for us is obviously the Microsoft partners themselves. So we do an extensive amount of work with partners already, but always looking for partners, both national and international. So the offering that we have works with that, because in essence we're trying to promote Dynamics 365 and the adoption and the increase in the adoption from it. So if we can get the data right, it means that the adoption goes up, and you get to they get to utilize more and more of the product that they're supporting. So
yeah. Anthony and Matt, I love it. I love those stories across the different use cases, because a big takeaway was you're an international company. You have the ability to deploy this so that the language, or to the fact that it's not just a name, it could be a animal like a donkey. That's pretty impressive that use case can exist and the flexibility to do that, because it's not just about people, it's about companies, it's organizations, or any of those structures that you end up doing. So we're about a minute out. So let's go ahead and we can wrap it up, and maybe just very quickly, Anthony and Matt, you can talk about what are the key call to action. So if people are listening to this, whether they're a Microsoft employee, to point an implementation partner, or maybe a customer who's listening to this going, oh my gosh, I just deployed Dynamics and I do have data quality issues. How do people learn more about the solution and be getting in contact with Data8?
There should be some links within this presentation. Alternatively, look for us on Data8’s.com. Look for Matt as an MVP on LinkedIn, Matt Beard, myself, Antony Allen on LinkedIn, and we'd be more than happy to help you with that, take you through any or all of the things that we're able to do. We've got some new and exciting stuff up there, and for that we do, we are looking more of a partner network. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else to add, Matt?
No, I think that's right. And I think one of the things that I think Antony sort of talked about there is that everything we've ever built has come from a use case, from us, a customer, multiple customers, and from conversations we've had. That isn't going to stop. So if there is things people want, things people don't know that we do or that we don't do, reach out. We can have discussions. We make our products work for other people. Because we're horizontal and we fit in other people's systems, we try and think of this for everybody. So yeah, reach out, let's have a chat and see if anything helps at all.
Okay. I love it. And again, just to shout out what they both said, aka.ms/Data8 LinkedIn Live goes to a landing page where you can learn a lot more about the details that Antony and Matt talked about. And then, of course, this goes to their various app source listings, aka.ms/Data8 LTD are two great resources, as Antony was referring to get started. I know we didn't get a chance to ask a question, but thank you, John, and then Simon. There was a little exchange on the LinkedIn feed with just a question to think about, and that's a good starting point. And I want to thank both of you, Antony and Matt, for spending the time with us, the investment that you have made in continuing to be part of the Microsoft ecosystem. We truly, truly appreciate it. And it's great that, again, when we have particularly MVPs going on the call who are working for our ISVs, it's always great to see the impact that you're making in the ecosystem and the community as well. So that being said, everybody, thank you so much for investing the time to either watch it live or you come across the replay. These ISV Success Live events, we do these every Monday, 8 o'clock West Coast time. We have another one scheduled for next week, so stay tuned for that invitation. You'll see on my LinkedIn feed later day. But if you just want to go in and look at any of the past sessions, including this one, which we'll post very shortly, aka.ms/ISV Success Live, goes to the YouTube channel that has all the various episodes that we've done since the very beginning several years ago. So thanks again, Data8, for the time. And I'm going to go ahead and replay the great video that we started out the event with. And
just a quick one, Brian. Thank you, Brian, as well, for organizing this and giving us the opportunity. It's much appreciated. We've long been fans of watching you, so more than happy to be involved.
I love it. Yeah, thanks for that shout out, Antony. It's my pleasure, and it's a great opportunity to showcase, one, get to know people who are in our ecosystem, and two, the great innovation that ISVs do. So thank you so much. Enjoy, everybody. Take care. Have a good week.
Thanks.